You walk through the automatic doors of your grocery store. It's the same routine as always. You grab a shopping cart, head down the aisle, and toss in the daily essentials: milk, eggs, bread. You reach the register. The cashier scans the final item. Then you look at the screen. The total flashes in green digital numbers. You stare at the screen. You double-check the items in the bags. It's the exact same list you've bought for years, but the math doesn't make sense. You haven't taken a pay cut. You are working exactly as hard as you always have. Yet simply feeding your family takes a larger bite out of your paycheck than it did 12 months ago. You notice it everywhere. The numbers at the gas pump spin faster. Your landlord sends an email about a rent increase, and the monthly electricity bill creeps higher. This widespread, persistent climb in prices is known as inflation. Inflation measures the rate at which your currency loses its intrinsic value. As each dollar weakens, it takes more of them to secure the same basic goods. If your money sits idle in a standard bank account, it is slowly evaporating. To protect the hours of labor you traded for those dollars, we have to look closely at how this system operates. This animated diagram illustrates purchasing power. We have a side-by-side comparison of a grocery basket from 5 years ago next to one from today. They contain identical physical items, but the price tag on the right is drastically higher. Let's look at how this happens. When factories slow down or shipping routes are blocked, the supply chain breaks. This shrinks the number of available goods on the market. Meanwhile, people still need those items. We now have an increased volume of dollars actively chasing a limited amount of products. The competition for these scarce goods pushes the price dial upward. Zooming out, we see the role of monetary policy. Central banking systems can expand the total money supply, injecting a massive wave of new dollars into the broader economy. With millions of new bills circulating, the individual value of each dollar you hold naturally shrinks. Global supply constraints, rising consumer demand, and monetary policy interlock. They function together as an active, mechanical system. This engine runs constantly in the background of global trade, driven by the friction between supply, demand, and the volume of currency in circulation. The exhaust from this engine affects everyone, but in very specific ways. A 20-year-old college student feels the pressure when their off-campus rent surges by $200 a month. That same student is squeezed again at the pump. The cost to commute to class climbs higher, leaving almost nothing for savings. A few miles away, a middle-class family adapts by substituting fresh meat for cheaper, processed alternatives, just to keep their weekly grocery budget intact. Even when they cut back on food, their budget tightens further as monthly premiums for home and auto insurance quietly creep upward. Then there is the retired couple. They rely on a fixed-income pension. Their monthly check stays exactly the same, but the cost to maintain their basic standard of living does not. The pressure compounds when out-of-pocket costs for prescription medications and routine medical care climb far faster than their static savings account can earn. Beyond the sticker shock, there is a secondary cost. Borrowing money becomes more expensive. Interest rates on new auto loans and credit cards rise, making it harder to finance daily life. And those who try to simply save their way to safety face a silent penalty. Traditional bank accounts often yield low returns. If the interest rate is lower than the inflation rate, your account balance grows, but its actual buying power shrinks. No demographic escapes the math. Without an active defense, inflation forces an involuntary downgrade in lifestyle across the board. You cannot control international supply chains or dictate national monetary policy. But you have total control over the microeconomy inside your own household. The first step is clarity. Build a strict, realistic budget. Track exactly where every dollar goes and immediately cut the subscriptions and discretionary spending that you don't actually use. Next, aggressively build a liquid emergency fund. Having 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an accessible account provides a buffer to absorb sudden price shocks without resorting to debt. If you carry variable, high-interest debt, like a credit card balance, prioritize paying it down. High interest rates compound rapidly during inflationary periods, draining your wealth from the inside out. Finally, mathematically outpacing inflation requires making your money work for you. This involves investing for long-term goals. The strategy you choose should align carefully with your personal risk tolerance. These financial habits act as a necessary defense, shielding your accumulated wealth from the persistent erosion of a weakening dollar. To see how this plays out, let's look at this split-screen illustration. On the left is person A, who leaves all their accumulated wealth sitting in standard cash savings. On the right is person B, actively reviewing their financial plan. This line graph projects a 5-year timeline. Person A's savings remain flat and static, but look at the steeply rising red inflation line. The widening gap between the two represents person A's lost purchasing power. By contrast, person B takes a proactive approach. They stick to a budget, clear their high-interest debt, and diversify their income by directing capital into long-term investments. The graph updates to show person B's potential outcome. The green investment growth line curves upward over time. While results are never guaranteed, this strategy is designed to parallel or outpace the rising cost of living. Inflation is a permanent reality, but understanding its mechanics gives you the power to make smarter financial decisions. By taking disciplined action today, you can transition from a passive observer of the economy to the architect of your own financial future. The choice starts now.